All right. Geography is what we're going to kind of talk about today, as well as start a project today, and then work on it for the next few days. So social studies for the rest of the week is going to be working on your project. We would do it in class if we could. So I'm going to present my screen, and we're going to talk about the 5 themes of geography. Geography is basically where something is in the world. So the geography of Arizona is that it's in the southwest of the United States. The geography of Winslow, you could do something like that. You could say that the creek, is the creek east or north? Northeast? I don't actually know. Wherever the creek is, you could say it's north of Winslow. It's south. I just don't know exactly where it is. Never been. So geography is just where something is in the world. So we're gonna talk about some 5 themes, the themes that we have. So we're just gonna kind of go through the slides really quick. You guys have access to this, so if we go too quick, you'll still be able to look at it. You're probably gonna need to use it for your project anyway, so it will be on Google Classroom when that assignment posts. So we're gonna talk about 5 themes and how we use them to understand the world. First is location. That's legitimately where something is. Location is the address of some place. Could be the name of it, or it could be the geographic site. So if we do the address, we talked about the exact address that we lived in. It would be, if you lived there, 123 Main Street. The place that you live is Winslow, Arizona. And then we don't really have a geographical site for Winslow, but if you're thinking of Flagstaff, you have the, what are they called? The peaks, San Francisco peaks. That would be a geographical site. So 3 types of locations that you can name. You could say Arizona State, things like that. The next part is a place. So another theme is place. This is what it's like to be in that place. So the climate could be hot, could be humid, could be cold, snowy, rainy, whatever the climate is like. So how the weather usually is. The topography is kind of the landscape. So some place could be really mountainous. There's a lot of mountains. Or if you're thinking of like Winslow, pretty flat, a little bit desert-y, right? So that would be the topography of that. And then the atmosphere is kind of how it's like in the town that you live. So in, I guess Flagstaff, you could say Flagstaff is pretty quiet. You don't get a lot of like loud, busy streets. So it's kind of a quiet place. But if you kind of picture New York or New York City and like the streets there, that's going to be much more of a busy and loud atmosphere than a quiet one. Okay? How are we doing so far? Good? I can't see you guys, so we good? Following along? I'm going to take that as a yes. All right. Next one is movement. This is another theme of geography. This is literally the movement of something going from here to there. So things that can move are going to be ideas and information. So the internet's going to move ideas and information. Books can go from one place to another. TV can take you to a separate location, not like physically, but you can learn about Egypt on TV, that type of thing. Goods, so things that people buy and sell, get moved from place to place. So there's a movement of food from different places, from like, I don't know, California has a lot of avocados. So the movement of avocados to the different states would be the movement of food. Clothes are made all over the world and moved from one place to another one. Another thing that's moved is people. They could be immigrating somewhere. So people move from the United States to Europe. That's immigration. Or they go from the US to Canada. Wherever they move to, they would be immigrating to that country. The next one, resources are moved from place to place. So water is moved all over the place, and so is oil. A lot of oil comes from Africa and the Middle East. So it's moved from there to the different places in the world. The next one would be animals. So animals will migrate from place to place. A lot of animals will spend their summer somewhere that is like kind of coolish, not super, super hot, but somewhere kind of cool. And then in winter, when it gets super cold in that area, they'll migrate and go somewhere else where it's going to be warmer in the winter. So they have migration patterns. And then finally, another movement is electricity. That's literally how we get electricity, right? It comes from the big power plants and it goes through wires and telephone poles and all of that stuff. So it moves through things. So movement is another theme of geography. Okay. Next one, human environmental interaction. So that's essentially how we as humans affect the world and then how the world is affecting us. For the most part, we as humans are affecting the world a lot more than the world is affecting us. So we farm things, we create pollution, we mine for gold and all kinds of other materials, and we have basically, in effect, created climate change. So I wouldn't say that humans have the greatest impact on the world, but that's an effect that we have. And then the world does affect us in ways like natural disasters. Something like a tornado is how the world is going to affect something man-made that was built. Tsunamis are not going to be great. Earthquakes. So those affect us as people. So that's kind of the human environment interaction between the world. And then finally, our last theme is region, which is the area and how they are linked together. So it can talk about the language of the area. So if we think about, let's see, what's a good one? So Canada was actually a long time ago like owned by France. So there's a lot of people that live in Canada that speak French and have for a very long time. So that could be the language of the region. A lot of time, different regions in the world have different religions. So if you think of the Middle East, you might think more of like Muslim, Buddhist, Islam, different religions like that. And then when you think of the United States, you think more Christianity versus other religions, right? And then we have location, so like physically where something is. So this one is the Pacific Rim. You could say that in Arizona, that one of the locations that people live near is the Grand Canyon. And then finally, there are a lot of geographic features around. Again, the Grand Canyon would be another geographic feature. Meteor crater is around Winslow. That could be a geographic feature. So those are kind of the 5 themes of geography. That's all we're going to do on that PowerPoint. I know it was kind of quick, but you guys are going to have access to this the whole time. So how are we doing? Following good still? Alrighty. Now, this kind of goes along with your project. If Michaela can't join, that's okay. She can watch this later, just so you know. On Google Classroom, has it posted? Let's see. Yep. If you go to Google Classroom and you scroll down to social studies, we have something called the 5 Themes of Geography project. Okay. There are 3 things on there. The first one is the PowerPoint that we just talked about, so you can use it as reference. You can pull that up if you'd like to, but it's there as reference for when you're doing your project. The second thing that we have is a Google Doc that basically are the things that you need to fill out for your project. So you'll have to Google and find out. Some of these you can answer on your own, but you might need to, what am I saying? You might be able to do it on your own, but you might have to Google some stuff too. Then that last part, the Google slide, if you open it, is the presentation you're going to make using the information from the Google Docs. So you're going to fill out this document first, and then basically transfer all of it onto the Google Slides, because I need to see both of them. But you can put pictures, anything you'd like on. What?
I got kicked off.
Hang on, too many people are talking. Charlie, go ahead. No, Juliana, do you have a question?
When is this due?
Technically by Sunday at midnight. So yeah.
I got kicked
We're not going to
off.
present it or anything. Oh, sorry. Did you have a question?
No.
No? Okay, so let's sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let's look at, if you look at my screen, I'm just going to type on it for a little bit and just kind of talk about each of the questions, and then I'm going to set you guys loose to work on it. So this project is going to be about your hometown. So that would technically be where you were born or where you've spent the most time. I assume that most of you guys were born in Winslow. Is that correct? Or near Winslow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then your hometown is going to be Winslow. I was not born in Winslow. I was actually born in Illinois. But I don't consider Illinois my hometown. I lived there for 2 years, so I was 0 and 1 years old. Don't remember any of it. But I spent a lot of time in Washington State. So instead of using where I was born, because I don't know a lot about it, I'm going to a city called Tacoma, Washington. This is where I spent a lot of time growing up. I lived there for about 10 years. So that's the location I'm going to use. So I would answer, where is it located? Washington. And then I'd answer, why do I think it was built? Why do you think that that area of where it was built, like why is it located there? Why was it picked to be there? This was near, what's it called? Near the ocean, so it was helpful to be close to the ocean. Okay. You could just kind of go through and answer these questions. The absolute location is where you'd find what? No? Okay. The absolute location is the latitude and longitude of the city that you're talking about. So if you do Winslow, and that's where your hometown is, you're going to find the latitude and longitude of Winslow, which are the grid lines. Okay, then for the next part, for place, you're going to answer the question, what are the physical and human characteristics of the town? So physically, what do you notice about Winslow? Like flat, mountainous, things like that. And then the human characteristics are basically the buildings and things that have been built here. What kind of human interaction have we had with Winslow or the town you're doing? The next one, what is the natural environment? So if you look around Winslow, is there a forest? Is it plains, which are like fields? Are there any big, like major bodies of water, like a lake or an ocean nearby? And then the next one, what makes your town different from other towns in your state? So that's kind of your own ideas, what makes it different. Okay. The next one, what are the cultural features of your towns? So the different cultures that we have in the area, you can write about those. Who all lives here, so different cultures that maybe live in this town. Next, we have the region. This is something that you guys might have to Google. Former, functional, and vernacular regions. I would look those up. I'm going to let you guys do that research. I'm not going to tell you what those mean. So you can do what formal regions exist in Winslow, what functional regions exist in Winslow, and what vernacular regions exist in Winslow, or whatever town you're working on. So I want you to try that one on your own. The next one says, think of the regions that help you.
What do those?
I just told you you're going to have to look those up. I want you to figure those out on your own. Do a little bit of research. I'm not going to just hand you the answer to that one, okay?
Oh.
So you just got to Google it, like vernacular region, and it should tell you a vernacular region is blah, blah, blah. Okay? All right, the next one, think of the regions that help your local government and local agencies keep themselves organized. So when you go back to the region part of it, you might need to go back to that slide and be like, what does that mean? What's a region? So use the tools that I'm giving you to help you out. Our next one, human environment interaction. How have the people in your town depended on, adapted to, and modified the environment? So you can go back in time a little bit. How did people that used to live in Winslow depend on the environment around them? And then as the years have gone on, how have we adapted and modified or changed the environment around Winslow, if you're doing Winslow? Okay. And then the next one, what local resources do people depend on? So is there anything local in the town that people like really depend on something? This one is just kind of a hint. You can find some old photographs or maps of the town you're working on that can help you see the changes in how the environment has changed over time for this area, whether people have built more, torn things down, has the town expanded or has it gotten smaller, things along those lines. And then finally, the movement of things. How is your town linked to other communities by flow of people, ideas, and goods? So if we think about, if we go back to my example, Tacoma, Washington, it's right next to the ocean. So a lot of people come by ship, like they will take a ship. That's how a lot of the goods, so the things that people buy, they'll get shipped, like literally on a ship across the ocean to us, things like that. So you can figure that out for your town. The next one. What's manufactured in your town? So is there anything that's specifically built or created in the town that you're thinking of as your hometown? Is there anything that's exported, like sent to other places? And then is there anything that's imported, which means that it's sent from other places to this town? Okay. Next one, do most people work in your town or do they commute somewhere else? So if you think about the people that live in whatever town you're in, do they stay here to work or do they leave and go work in a different town? So for me, at least, I commute to work every day. I live in Flagstaff, so I drive to a different town, aka Winslow, every day to do my job. So is there people like that that do that in your town? So there's quite a few questions here. Quite a few things for you guys to do. So let me erase these, hang on. Just in case it popped up on yours. Do you guys have any questions about what you need to be working on? No? Okay. 12:50. When is it due? Technically, by midnight on Sunday. I'm probably going to do some grading earlier in the day on Sunday, but I will check on Monday morning to make sure that you have it done. Which we also don't have school on Monday, but I still got to do some work. So I'd like you guys to stay on for about maybe like 20 minutes so you can be working through it. And if you have questions, you can ask. And then after those 20 minutes, you guys can head out. Sound good?